Blood dripped onto imported Italian leather as Lee Taejun stumbled through the back alleys of Itaewon, each breath a knife in his ribs. 3 bullets. Maybe 4. He'd stopped counting after the second one punched through his shoulder, after he'd watched Choi Sung-min, his brother in Everything But Blood, smile while pulling the trigger. Nothing personal, Hyung, Choi had said, gun barrel still smoking. Just business. Taejun's vision blurred. The neon signs of Seoul's nightlife district bled together into streaks of pink and blue. His white Tom Ford shirt, custom tailored just last week, was now a canvas of crimson. They called him Gang Chul-yong, the Steel Dragon. Untouchable. He'd survived 7 assassination attempts in 15 years of running the Baeko syndicate. Tonight, made 8. Maybe his last. His legs gave out near Muledong, the industrial district where rust and poverty lived in the shadows of his empire. He collapsed against a concrete wall, tasting copper. Above him, bass thundered from Club Midnight, the flagship of his criminal kingdom. Below, in the semi-basement apartments where Seoul's invisible people lived, a door stood slightly open. Yellow light spilled onto cracked pavement. Taejun crawled, not towards the light, towards anything. Survival. The dragon tattoo covering his back seemed to mock him now. What kind of dragon dies in a gutter? He pushed through the door and collapsed onto cold linoleum. The smell hit him. Crayons, cheap laundry soap, instant ramen, human smells, poor smells, living smells, everything his penthouse suite wasn't. This is where I die, he thought, on a stranger's floor, bleeding out like a dog. Ajasi, a small voice said. Mister. Taejun's hand flew to the knife hidden in his belt, but his fingers wouldn't close. He blinked. A child stood 3 feet away. 6 years old, dark skin, hair in 2 puffs tied with purple ribbons. Eyes that should have been filled with terror but weren't. You're bleeding a lot, the girl said in Korean, her accent carrying a slight American lilt. She tilted her head, studying him like he was a puzzle. Mama says when there's lots of bleeding, you need pressure. She disappeared behind a beaded curtain. Taejun tried to move, to run, to do anything, but his body had stopped listening. The girl returned with a plastic bowl of water and a clean rag. Behind her, she dragged something. A toy medical kit, bright pink with cartoon characters. My name is Zara, she said, kneeling beside him without hesitation. What's yours? Leave, Taejun managed through gritted teeth. Dangerous. I'm dangerous. You don't look dangerous right now, Zara said matter-of-factly. She pressed the rag against the worst wound on his side. Her small hands were steady. You look like you need help. Taejun stared at this impossible child. She'd seen his tattoos. The dragon, the tiger, the symbols of the Baeko syndicate that made grown men cross the street. She'd seen the blood, the expensive suit, the Rolex worth more than this entire building, and she'd decided he needed help. We have to be quiet, Zara whispered, finger to her lips. Mama works upstairs. The bad men who own that place. They can't know you're here, she paused. Are you one of the bad men? Taejun almost laughed. Pain stopped him. Yes. Oh, Zara considered this. Well, you're bleeding in my house now, so I guess you're my bad man, she tugged at his arm. Come on, you can't stay on the floor. Mama will be home soon. With strength that seemed impossible for someone so small, Zara helped him stumble to a narrow bed pushed against the wall. Princess sheets, a worn stuffed bear sitting on the pillow. This was her bed. I can't, Taejun started. Shh, Zara commanded. She had authority, this tiny guardian. Bad men are looking for someone tonight. I heard them upstairs, yelling into phones. If they find you here, they'll hurt Mama too. So you have to be quiet, like a mouse. She covered him with a thin blanket that smelled like fabric softener in childhood. Then she picked up her stuffed bear, Mr. Chocolate, she called him, and placed it next to Taejun's face like a pillow. He'll keep you safe, Zara said seriously. He's very brave. Taejun closed his eyes. Somewhere in the distance, sirens wailed. Closer, he heard car doors slamming, shouting, his men. Choi's men now, hunting. If you enjoyed this opening, hit that subscribe button right now and drop a comment below. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. The door burst open 2 hours later. Taejun's hand found his knife this time, but Zara was faster. She placed one small hand over his and shook her head. A woman stood in the doorway, late 20s, beautiful despite the exhaustion etched into every line of her face. Dark skin, natural hair pulled back, the polyester uniform of Club Midnight's waitstaff clinging to her frame. Her eyes widened when she saw him. "Oh God," she whispered. "Oh God, no." "Mama," Zara jumped up. "He's hurt. I helped him like you taught me." The woman, Imani, Taejun would learn, stared at him. Recognition dawned slowly, then hit like a train. He watched it happen, saw the moment she placed his face from the news, from whispered conversations in the club, from warnings passed between service workers about which VIP rooms to avoid. Lee Taejun, the steel dragon, worth 500 million won to whoever turned him in, worth death to whoever helped him. Imani grabbed her daughter's hand. "Zara, baby, we need to go, right now, pack your—" "No." Zara pulled free. She stood between her mother and the bed, small arms spread wide. "He'll die, Mama. Those men upstairs, they're hunting him. He crawled here because he had nowhere else." "Baby, you don't understand who this is." "I know exactly who he is," Zara said quietly. "He told me he's a bad man." "But Mama, you always say people aren't just one thing. You say everyone's got a good and bad and we choose which one to feed." She looked back at Taejun. "He chose to tell me the truth. That's feeding the good, right?" Imani's hands shook. Taejun could see the calculation in her eyes. 500 million won, enough to leave Korea, enough to never work another double shift, enough to give her daughter the life she deserved. "There's a burner phone in my jacket," Taejun said, his voice rough. "Call the number labeled Tiger. Tell him where I am. He'll pay you, more than the reward, and he'll make sure you're safe when you leave." Imani didn't move. She looked at her daughter, then at him, then at the door. Outside, a woman's voice carried through the thin walls, Mrs. Kang from the apartment above, always watching, always listening, the kind of neighbor who knew everyone's business and kept score. "Mama, please," Zara's voice cracked. "I've never asked you for anything big. Just this. Please." The silence stretched. Somewhere above, bass thundered through the floor. The empire Taejun built, the kingdom of vice and violence, shaking the cheap ceiling tiles of this forgotten basement. Imani walked to the door. Taejun's heart sank. Smart woman. Survivor's instinct. He didn't blame her. She bolted the steel door, pulled the blackout curtains, turned back to face him with eyes full of something Taejun hadn't seen in years. Not pity, not fear, determination. "One night," Imani said. "You get one night, then you're gone and we never saw you. Understood?" Taejun nodded. "Zara, get my first aid kit from under the sink. The real one, not your toy." As Zara scurried away, Imani approached the bed. "I did 2 years of nursing school before," she trailed off. "Before I had to leave the States. I know enough to keep you from dying tonight. But that's all this is. Keeping you from dying, not making us friends." "Understood," Taejun repeated. Her hands were clinical, moving with practiced efficiency. She cut away his shirt, cataloged his wounds with professional detachment. 3 bullets still in you. I can't remove them, but I can clean the wounds, stitch what needs stitching, and pray you don't get septic before morning." "Why?" The question escaped before Taejun could stop it. Imani's hands paused. "You want honesty? Please, I'm not doing this for you." She met his eyes. "I'm doing it because my daughter saw something in you worth saving, and I trust her judgment more than I trust my own." Her voice dropped. "I spent 3 years with a man who looked good on paper. Successful. Charming. All the right words. He put me in the hospital twice before I finally ran. You know what Zara said when she was 4 when I was crying over bills I couldn't pay?" Taejun shook his head. "She said, 'Mama, you chose hard over hurt. That makes you brave.'" Imani's hands resumed their work. "So tonight we're choosing hard. Because my baby asked me to. And because maybe, just maybe, someone who could have died quiet chose to be honest with a child instead." Zara returned with supplies. Mother and daughter worked in sync, a dance they'd clearly performed before. Imani cleaned and stitched while Zara held the flashlight, passed gauze, whispered encouragement. "You're doing great, Mr. Badman," Zara said. "Mama's the best almost nurse in Seoul." Despite everything, Taejun smiled. "Just Taejun. You can call me Taejun." "Okay, Mr. Taejun." Zara nodded seriously. "When you're better, will you tell me about your tattoos? They're really pretty." "Zara," Imani warned. "What?" "They are. The dragon looks like it's flying. I bet there's stories." "There are," Taejun admitted. "Dark stories." "That's okay," Zara said. "Mama reads me fairy tales. Those have dark parts too, but they always end with someone learning something important." Outside, tires squealed, voices shouted in Korean. Taejun tensed, reaching for his knife again, but Imani pushed his hand down. "Don't," she whispered. "If they come to that door, you stay quiet. Zara and I will handle it." "You can't." "We've been invisible in this city for 7 years," Imani said coldly. "We know how to disappear." "You don't." Footsteps thundered overhead. The bass from Club Midnight cut out suddenly. In its place, organized chaos. Orders being shouted, the sound of a kingdom changing hands. Taejun closed his eyes. His empire was falling, and he couldn't do anything but lie in a child's bed, stitched together by a woman who had every reason to hate men like him. "Sleep," Imani said softly. "I'll keep watch." "Why would you—" "Because Zara's right. You told her the truth. That counts for something." She pulled the blanket up to his shoulders. "Not much, but something." Taejun slept. For the first time in 15 years, he slept without a gun under his pillow, without guards outside his door, without the weight of the world on his shoulders. He slept, and he dreamed of dragons that protected instead of destroyed. Morning came with the smell of instant ramyeon. Taejun woke to find Zara sitting cross-legged at the foot of the bed, her toy stethoscope pressed to his chest. "Your heartbeat sounds strong," she announced. "I think you'll live." "Medical opinion noted," Taejun said, his voice rough. Imani appeared with a steaming bowl. "Only one packet. Zara hasn't eaten since lunch yesterday." "I'm not hungry," Zara lied quickly. "Zara! I already ate at the convenience store," she insisted. "Mr. Kim gave me the expired kimbap for free." Imani's face tightened, but she said nothing. She handed the bowl to Zara. "Eat. Now." "But now." Zara took the bowl reluctantly. Taejun watched this exchange, understanding dawning. The expired food, the single packet of ramyeon, the toy medical kit that was probably the only toy in this entire apartment. They had nothing, and they were sharing it with him. "When I was 8, Taejun said quietly, "I lived in an orphanage in Daegu. Winter was brutal that year. We had one space heater for 40 kids. The older boys would fight over who got to sleep near it." Zara paused, noodles halfway to her mouth. "What did you do?" "I learned to sleep cold." Taejun met Imani's eyes. "But I also learned that the kids who shared their blankets, who made room even when there wasn't any, those were the ones who survived. Not the fighters, the sharers." Imani's expression softened fractionally. "My grandmother lived in Jindo," Taejun continued. "Small island south of here. She'd visit twice a year, always brought me to the ocean. She'd say, 'Taejuna, you see how the water is? It doesn't judge, doesn't care if you're rich or poor, good or bad. It just washes everything clean.'" "Is the ocean really like that?" Zara asked, eyes wide. "In Jindo? Yes. The water turns gold at sunset. You can see starfish on the bottom, clear as glass. At low tide, a path opens between the islands. They call it the Moses Miracle. My grandmother would take me walking on that path, and she'd tell me stories about dragons that lived in the sea. Not the scary kind, the kind that protected fishermen and guided lost sailors home." "I want to see that," Zara whispered. "Mama, can we go to Jindo someday?" "Someday," Imani said, but her voice carried no conviction. Someday meant never, and they all knew it. Taejun's phone buzzed. He pulled it from his jacket with effort. A text from old Tiger Kim, his most loyal captain. Choi has the club. Half the crew turned. Bounty on you. 1 billion won. Dead or alive. Stay hidden. 1 billion. Taejun almost laughed. Yesterday, he was worth an empire. Today, he was worth 1 billion won, and whatever he could carry. Bad news? Imani asked. Just confirmation of what we already knew. Taejun typed a response, then held the phone out to Imani. Take this. The code is 0613. Call Kim when I'm gone. He'll wire you money, enough to disappear properly. New city. New country if you want. Imani stared at the phone like it might bite her. I don't want your money. It's not for me. It's for her. Taejun nodded at Zara. She saved my life. That's worth more than whatever number he sends. She saved your life because she's good, not because she wanted payment. I know. Taejun's chest ached, and not from the bullets. That's exactly why she deserves it. Before Imani could respond, heavy footsteps sounded in the hallway outside. Multiple sets. Professional. Organized. Taejun was off the bed in an instant, knife in hand, positioning himself between the door and Zara. Pain screamed through his side. He ignored it. Imani moved faster. She grabbed Zara, pushed her into the bathroom, then placed herself in front of Taejun. No, she hissed. You hide. We handle this. They're here for me, and if they find you, they find us. But if they find us, they might not find you. Now shut up and get under the bed. Taejun hesitated. Everything in him screamed to fight, to face this standing up like the dragon he claimed to be. Then he looked at Zara, peeking around the bathroom door with those impossibly brave eyes, and he crawled under the bed like a coward, like a man who had something to lose. The pounding started. Open up! Beko Syndicate, we're looking for someone. Imani smoothed her nightgown, mussed her hair, and opened the door a crack. The chain lock held. Yes? Her voice was sleep rough, annoyed, perfect. 3 men stood outside. Taejun recognized the one in front. Scarface Park, Choi's personal enforcer. A man who'd killed 17 people that Taejun knew about. Looking for a man, Scarface said. Tall, tattoos, bleeding. You see anyone like that? Mister, I work at the club upstairs. I just got home 3 hours ago. I've seen nothing but my pillow. This is a basement apartment. Good place to hide. It's also a single mother's home. You want to wake my daughter? Come in. Search. But when she starts crying and can't sleep for a week, you explain to your boss why one of his waitresses is too tired to work. Scarface's eyes narrowed. What's your name? Imani Williams, employee number 2, 847. Check your records. Movement behind Scarface. Zara emerged from the bathroom, clutching Mr. Chocolate. She'd put on her best performance. Messy hair, sleepy eyes, confused expression. Mama, who's yelling? Scarface looked at Zara. His expression shifted, not softer exactly, but calculating. A black child in Seoul, an American mother working service jobs. Nothing threatening here, nothing worth his time. Sorry to disturb you, he said, stepping back. If you see anything unusual, you call this number. He handed Imani a card. Of course, Imani said. Can I go back to sleep now? Scarface nodded. His men moved on to the next door. Imani closed the door carefully, locked it, then slid down to the floor. Her hands shook. Zara ran to her mother's arms. You were so brave, Mama. I was terrified, Imani whispered. Brave isn't not being scared, Zara said, parroting words she'd clearly heard before. Brave is being scared and doing it anyway. Taejun pulled himself out from under the bed. His side was bleeding again. He pressed a hand to the wound. Thank you, he said simply. Imani looked at him. Don't thank me yet. They'll be back. They always come back. She was right. Over the next 3 days, they came back. The second time, it was dawn. Different enforcers. Same questions. Imani answered the door in her work uniform, leaving for an early shift. Professional. Rushed. No time for their nonsense. Zara stayed hidden in the bathroom, but Taejun heard her small voice humming a song to keep herself calm. The third time, it was afternoon. Zara answered the door alone while Imani slept after a double shift. Taejun held his breath under the bed, knife ready. as he listened to his 6-year-old protector face down armed men. My mama's sleeping, Zara said firmly in Korean. She works very hard. If you wake her up, she'll be angry. And then I'll be sad. And then I'll tell Mr. Choi upstairs that his men made me cry. The enforcer actually apologized. The fourth time, Mrs. Kang from upstairs joined them, peering into the apartment with hungry eyes. I heard noises, she said. Late at night, sounded like a man. Probably the TV, Imani said smoothly. I fall asleep watching American shows. Sorry if it was loud. Mrs. Kang's expression said she didn't believe it. But she had no proof. Not yet. Each visit wound Tae-jun tighter. Each time they left, he expected the next knock to be the final one. The one where they brought enough men, enough weapons, enough certainty to tear the apartment apart. On the fifth day, Zara asked Tae-jun about his tattoos. They sat on the floor while Imani was at work, sharing a package of cheap cookies Zara had been saving. The afternoon light came through the window well in, dusty beams. This one, she said, tracing the dragon on his exposed shoulder with careful fingers. Why is it so big? Dragons protect their treasure, Tae-jun said. I got this when I took over my territory. Thought it made me look powerful. Does it? It makes me look dangerous. Not the same thing. What's the difference? Tae-jun considered. Power is what you build. Danger is what you destroy. I thought I was building an empire. Turns out I was just destroying anyone who got in my way. But you could change, Zara said, if you wanted to. I'm 38 years old. I've killed people, hurt families, built my throne on bones and broken promises. You don't come back from that. Why not? Because... Tae-jun stopped. Why not? He'd never actually asked himself that question. He'd simply accepted it as truth. Once you cross certain lines, you can't uncross them. My friend Mina at school, Zara said. She used to be really mean, pushed kids, took their lunches. Then her dad left, and she got even meaner. Teacher said it was because she was hurting inside. What happened? One day, she pushed me. I fell and scraped my knee. She looked like she felt bad, but she didn't say sorry. Zara pulled up her pant leg, showing a faint scar. Next day, I gave her half my lunch anyway. She cried. Now she's my best friend. That's different. Why? Because you're grown up? Because you hurt people bigger than lunchboxes? Zara tilted her head. Mama says hurt people, but she also says heal people. You just have to decide which one you want to be. From 6 years old, wisdom from a child who should have been playing with dolls, not nursing crime lords in her bedroom. You should be a doctor, Tae-jun said, like you want, a real one. I will be, Zara said with absolute certainty. I'm going to help people, all kinds of people, even bad ones, especially bad ones, because they need it most. Your mother must be very proud. She's scared, but she's proud too. That's okay. You can be both. Imani appeared in the doorway with groceries. More than before. Real vegetables, fresh meat, Tae-jun's money, anonymously delivered by old Tiger Kim, was already making a difference. Zara, bathroom, brush your teeth, bedtime in 10 minutes. But Mama, now, Zara obeyed. When she was gone, Imani sat on the edge of the bed. She likes you, Imani said. That terrifies me. I understand. Do you? Because I don't think you do. Imani's voice was tight. Zara sees the best in everyone. It's beautiful and it's going to get her hurt someday. Maybe by you, maybe by someone like you, and I won't be able to protect her from it because I taught her to be kind. You taught her to be human, Tae-jun said. In a world that punishes humanity, that's not weakness, that's rebellion. Imani laughed bitterly. Rebellion. Sure, that's what we'll call it when she gets her heart broken by the next monster who stumbles into our lives. I'm leaving soon, Tae-jun said. Kim has a safe house in Busan. I'll disappear. You'll never see me again. Good, but I want to do something first. For Zara. We don't need your guilt money. Not money, a promise. Tae-jun met her eyes. When I'm settled, when it's safe, I want to take you both to Jindo. Show her the golden ocean, the Moses path. Let her see that the world is bigger than this basement. Why? Because she gave me something I didn't deserve. Hope. And I want to give her something she does deserve. Wonder. Imani stood. Make that promise when you're not bleeding in my daughter's bed. Make it when you're not running for your life. Make it when you're whoever you're going to be next, and we'll see if that person is worth trusting. She left Taijun alone with his thoughts, and the distant sound of Zara brushing her teeth, humming some American song he didn't recognize. 2 more days passed. Taijun's wounds began to heal, properly. He could move without gasping, could think without the fog of pain. He helped where he could. Washed dishes while Imani slept. Helped Zara with her Korean homework, though his handwriting was terrible. Tried to make himself useful in this tiny domestic world. One evening, Imani came home with red eyes. Her manager had groped her again. Tips had been stolen by another waitress. A customer had called her a racial slur. She said nothing, just went to the bathroom and cried with the water running so Zara wouldn't hear. Taijun's hands curled into fists. Old instincts rose like bile. He knew how to handle men like that. One phone call, one word, problem solved. Except he couldn't make that call anymore. That world was closed to him. Instead, he made tea. Cheap green tea from a convenience store, but he made it the way his grandmother taught him. Let it steep properly, poured it at the right temperature. When Imani emerged, eyes dry but voice hoarse, he handed her the cup. I can't fix it, he said quietly. I can't make those men disappear. I can't give you a better job or a safer life. But I can make tea, and I can tell you that Zara is lucky to have you, that your strength isn't just surviving, it's surviving with grace. Imani's hand shook as she took the cup. Don't, she whispered. Don't what? Don't be kind. Don't be human. It's easier when you're just the monster who stumbled into our apartment. When you're kind, I start to hope. And hope is dangerous. Why? Because hope makes you stay when you should run. Hope makes you trust when you should be suspicious. Hope is how I ended up with a man whose fists answered questions his mouth wouldn't. She sipped the tea, eyes closed. Hope is how I end up watching my daughter cry when you inevitably leave or get killed or become the monster again. What if I don't? Everyone does. Eventually. Not everyone. Not Zara. Zara's 6. The world hasn't broken her yet. Imani's voice cracked. Give it time. They sat in silence. Outside, Seoul hummed its endless song of traffic and neon and life moving forward without them. I meant what I said, Taejun finally spoke. About Jindo, about taking you both there. Not as payment, not as apology, just as a thing I want to do, a good thing, maybe the first real good thing I've done in 20 years. And if I say no, then I respect that, and I still disappear. And you still get the money Kim sends, and Zara still has a mother who loved her enough to take a terrible risk for her. Imani looked at him. Really looked. Not at the tattoos or the expensive watch or the danger he represented. At him. Ask me again, she said softly. When you're whoever you're going to become next, if that person is still someone Zara would want to know, ask me again. It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no. Taejun would take it. That night, everything shattered. Mrs. Kang from upstairs took the bribe. 10 million won to confirm that yes, someone suspicious was in the building. Basement apartment. American woman and her kid. She'd heard a man's voice, seen shadows that didn't match a family of 2. The death squad arrived at 2 a.m., 8 men, military-grade weapons, Scarface Park leading them. Taejun heard them coming. The way they moved was different this time. No questions, no pretense, just certainty and violence. He was on his feet, knife ready, positioning himself when Imani burst out of her bedroom. She'd been sleeping in her clothes for days, ready for this moment. They're here for real this time, she whispered. I can hear them. Too many. Too organized. Take Zara and go through the bathroom window. It's too small for me. Zara could fit, but she won't leave without us. Imani's face was calm. Too calm. The calm of someone who'd made a decision. We fight. I can't let them take my daughter. So, yes, we fight. Zara emerged from her room, wide-eyed but steady. She'd dressed herself, in jeans and sneakers. Smart girl, ready to run if the chance came. I'm not scared, Mama, she said, voice small but firm. I know, baby. You're the bravest girl in Seoul. Imani kissed her forehead, hands framing her daughter's face like she was memorizing it. No matter what happens, you remember, you chose to be kind. That's never wrong, even when the world punishes you for it. Being kind is never wrong. I'll remember, Zara promised. The door exploded inward. Smoke grenade, flashlights cutting through darkness like knives. Imani hit the main power switch. The apartment went black. Chaos erupted. Taejun moved on instinct, knife-finding targets in the dark. He knew violence the way some men knew prayer. It was his native language, the grammar of survival he'd learned in orphanages and back alleys. But this wasn't the calculated violence of a crime lord protecting territory. This was primal. A wounded animal protecting its den. A dragon guarding treasure that actually mattered. He heard Imani's voice cut through the chaos. Zara, bathroom, now! Gunfire, the muzzle flash illuminating the room in strobe light horror. Taejun felt a bullet graze his ribs, a line of fire across already damaged flesh. Didn't matter. He kept moving. Scarface's voice. Light! Someone get me light! An enforcer found a flashlight. The beam caught Taejun's face, blood slicked and feral. There! The steel dragon bleeds like everyone else. Taejun lunged. His knife found Scarface's gun arm, opened it to the bone. The weapon clattered away into darkness. They went down together, grappling in the narrow space between the bed and wall. You're finished, Scarface hissed, his breath hot and reeking of soju. Empire's gone. Choi owns it all now. Your men bent the knee or died. You're just a dead man who doesn't know it yet. Maybe, Taejun said, slamming Scarface's head against the floor. But I am a dead man with nothing to lose. He headbutted Scarface, felt the man's nose break with a wet crunch, used the momentary advantage to reach the fallen gun, fingers closing around checkered grip. 2 shots. 2 of Scarface's men went down screaming. Imani appeared from the bathroom doorway, frying pan in her hands, face set with grim determination. She swung at an enforcer trying to flank Taejun, connected with his temple. He dropped. Behind you, she shouted. Taejun spun. Another enforcer, knife raised. Taejun shot him in the leg, non-lethal. Some part of him was still trying to be the man Zara thought he could become. The bathroom door opened wider. Zara stood there, outlined in the faint light from the window well. She held Mr. Chocolate in both hands, clutching him like a talisman. Leave them alone. Her voice was small but cut through the violence like a bell. It was absurd. A 6-year-old girl facing armed men with a stuffed bear, but her voice carried something the enforcers hadn't expected. Pure moral certainty, the kind of conviction that makes grown men hesitate. Scarface turned, blood pouring from his broken nose. Saw her, smiled with teeth stained red. Hey, little girl, your mama's been hiding a very bad man. That makes her bad too. Why don't you come here and we'll sort this out? He took a step toward Zara. Time slowed. Taejun saw Imani lunge from the side, frying pan raised, saw Scarface's hand moving toward the backup piece at his ankle, saw Zara do something completely unexpected. She threw Mr. Chocolate. The stuffed bear sailed through the air in a perfect arc and hit Scarface directly in his ruined face. 1 second of distraction. 1 moment of absurdity in the middle of violence. It was enough. Taejun moved. The gun came up. Training and instinct converging. 1 shot, center mass. Scarface Park dropped like a puppet with cut strings. The remaining enforcers froze. Their leader was down. The supposedly dying steel dragon was very much alive and very much lethal. And somewhere, in the distance, sirens wailed. Neighbors had called the police. Run, one of them said, already backing toward the door. Police are coming. This wasn't the deal. Choi didn't pay us enough for this. They ran, boots thundering up the stairs, out into Seoul's indifferent night. Taejun collapsed against the wall, breathing hard. Blood soaked through his bandages, new wounds on top of old. His vision swam. Imani grabbed Zara, hands running over her daughter's body, checking for injuries with the methodical panic of a mother who'd nearly lost everything. Are you hurt? Baby, are you hurt? Talk to me. I'm okay, Mama, I'm okay. Zara's voice was shaking now, the adrenaline wearing off. Is Mr. Taejun okay? Taejun laughed. It hurt. Everything hurt. I'm okay, Zara. You killed that man. Yes. Because he was going to hurt us. Yes. Zara nodded slowly, processing. Thank you. Those two words, from a child who just watched him take a life. Thank you. Taejun felt something crack inside his chest. Not break badly. Break open, like ice on a river in spring, allowing something frozen to finally flow. We have to go, Imani said, voice tight and urgent. Police will be here in minutes. Choi will send more men. We can't. She looked around their tiny apartment, at the life they'd built from scraps. We can't stay. Taejun pulled out his phone with shaking hands, dialed. Kim, I need extraction. 3 people. Yes, 3. He paused, meeting Imani's wide eyes. The address? No, don't argue with me. 3 people or nothing. We're a package deal. He hung up, looked at Imani. I can't run, she said, but her voice held no conviction. I have a job. Zara has school. We have a life here. You had a life here, Taejun interrupted gently. Past tense. The moment you helped me, that life ended. I'm sorry, but it's true. Choi will find out about tonight. About you. About Zara. And when he does... He didn't finish. Didn't need to. Imani closed her eyes. She knew. She'd always known, from that first moment she chose to bolt the door instead of running. Where? She asked quietly. Jindo. The island I told Zara about. I have property there. A house my grandmother left me. No one knows about it except Kim. It's not in any database, any record, just a small place on a cliff overlooking the ocean. And we're supposed to just trust you? Uproot our entire lives on the word of a crime lord? No, Taejun said honestly. You're supposed to trust that staying here means death. For all of us. Choi can't let tonight stand. He can't let me live. And he definitely can't let witnesses live. He gestured at Zara. Especially witnesses who made his enforcers look like fools. Zara tugged her mother's hand. Mama, the golden ocean. Please, please. Imani looked at her daughter. 7 years of running. 7 years of hiding. 7 years of being invisible, hoping that would keep them safe. And it had. Right up until it hadn't. Right up until her daughter's enormous heart had opened their door to a dying dragon. Okay, she whispered. Okay. But Taejun? She met his eyes. If you're lying, if this is some trick, some way to use us or hurt us, then I deserve whatever you do to me, he finished. I know. 5 minutes, Imani said. Pack only what we can carry. Zara, your backpack, essentials only. They moved like soldiers. Practiced efficiency born from years of being ready to run. Clothes, documents, photos, the stuffed bear retrieved from where it had fallen near Scarface's body. Kim arrived 18 minutes later with a laundry truck. No questions. No judgment. Just action. Boss? The staging? He asked quietly while Imani and Zara climbed into the back. Make it convincing. Burn the body beyond recognition. Plant my signet ring. Leak it to the press. Make sure Choi believes I'm dead. And the Empire? Let it go. Taejun said the words and felt lighter. Divide my assets. 60%. To the families of men who stayed loyal. 40% to children's hospitals in Muleidong. Kim's eyebrows rose. You're serious. For the first time in 20 years. Taejun looked at the laundry truck, where a 6-year-old girl and her mother were hiding among industrial washing machine boxes. I've got something better now. What's that, boss? A chance to be someone worth saving. They smuggled out in darkness, breathing through air holes punched in cardboard, listening to Kim argue with the police about permits and delivery schedules. In the close, dark space, Taejun felt a small hand find his. Zara. She squeezed. He squeezed back. Is this an adventure? She whispered. The biggest one, he whispered back. Good. I always wanted a real adventure, not just the kind in books. Are you scared? A little bit, but Mama says being scared means you're doing something important, and this feels important. Out of the mouths of children, the truck drove for hours. Stop and start through Seoul traffic, the smell of industrial detergent, the sound of Imani's quiet breathing, controlled, measured, the warmth of Zara's hand in his. When they finally emerged, it was dawn. A small private dock on the outskirts of the city. A boat waited, engine idling. Kim looked at Imani and Zara in the early light. Ma'am, I don't know what my boss promised you. Safety, Imani said quietly. That's all. Just safety. Then you'll have it. I'll make sure Seoul believes Lee Tae-jun died in that basement. The steel dragon is dead. Whatever happens next. He looked at Tae-jun. That's up to you, boss. Not boss anymore, Tae-jun said. Just Tae-jun. Well, just Tae-jun, Kim smiled slightly. Don't waste this. Whatever this is, don't waste it. I won't. The boat ride took 3 hours. Zara spent the entire time at the rail, watching water. She'd never seen the ocean before. Not like this. Not endless and blue and alive. It's so big, she kept saying, voice filled with wonder. Mama, look how big it is. You can't see the end. Imani held her daughter, tears streaming down her face. Tae-jun wasn't sure if they were happy tears or sad tears or the complicated kind that were both. Maybe emotions didn't have to be simple. Maybe people didn't either. The captain, one of Kim's most trusted men, pointed ahead. Jindo, 20 minutes. The island appeared on the horizon, green hills rolling down to white sand beaches, small fishing villages dotting the coast. And there, on a cliff overlooking everything, a house. Tae-jun's grandmother's house. The place he'd fled from at 16, desperate to escape poverty and obscurity. The place he'd spent 20 years pretending didn't exist. Now it looked like salvation. They docked at a small pier, walked up a path lined with wild jasmine. The smell hit Tae-jun like a physical blow. Childhood, innocence, his grandmother's wrinkled hands teaching him to tie fishing knots. He unlocked the door with a key he'd kept on his keychain for 2 decades, never quite able to throw it away. The house smelled like dust and time, but underneath like the ocean, like home. Welcome to Jindo, he said, voice rough. Zara ran inside, exploring every room with 6-year-old enthusiasm. Mama, there's a kitchen with a real table, and a bedroom with windows that see the ocean, and another bedroom. And, oh, Mama, come look at the porch. Imani stood in the doorway, uncertain. This is real? We're really here? We're really here? For how long? As long as you want, Imani laughed. The sound was broken, relief and disbelief tangled together. I don't know what I want. I haven't had the luxury of wanting things for 7 years. I just survived. That's all I knew how to do. Then learn, Tae-jun said quietly. Learn how to want. Learn how to live instead of survive. We'll figure it out together. Why are you doing this? Because a 6-year-old girl saw something in me, worth saving, and I want to become the person she thought she saw. That night, they ate instant ramyeon on the porch, watching the sunset turn the ocean to liquid gold, exactly as Tae-jun had described. Zara's eyes were huge. You were right. It's magic. It's nature, Tae-jun said. But maybe nature is its own kind of magic. Can we walk on the Moses path when the tide goes low? Tomorrow, Imani promised. Tonight, we rest. But Zara was already asleep, head on her mother's lap, Mr. Chocolate, the hero of the basement battle, tucked under her arm. Thank you, Imani said quietly to Tae-jun. For what? For keeping your promise. For being the kind of man who could have just sent us money and disappeared, but didn't. I had to, Tae-jun said. She saved my life. Both of you did. Not just from bullets. From myself. From becoming the kind of monster who doesn't remember how to be human. What happens now? I don't know, Tae-jun admitted. I've spent 20 years knowing exactly what happens next. Planning, controlling, destroying anyone who threatened my plans. And look where it got me. betrayed, bleeding, nearly dead in a stranger's basement. So? So maybe it's time to not know, to just live, day by day, see what unfolds, let life happen instead of forcing it. Imani smiled. Small, tentative, but genuine. I can work with that. Here's the thing that's going to trigger some people. Was Imani right to help a crime lord? Should she have turned him in and taken the money? Would you help someone dangerous if your child asked you to? Drop your honest answer in the comments. I bet half of you say yes, half say no, and we're about to have a war down there. Let's see who's right. Weeks passed, then months. The rhythm of island life slowly unwound the tension Taijun had carried for 20 years. He took a job on a fishing boat. The old captain, Kim Dae-yeon, didn't ask questions about the tattoos or the way Taejun moved like a fighter. Just handed him nets and showed him how to read the water. "You're strong," the captain said one day, watching Taejun haul in a catch. "But you pull the nets like you're fighting them. Ocean doesn't respond to force. You have to work with it, not against it," Taejun learned. Slowly, his hands, which had held guns and knives with expert precision, learned the different skill of mending nets, of patience, of letting the tide dictate the day instead of demanding it bend to his will. Imani enrolled in online nursing courses. Finally finished what she'd started all those years ago in Chicago, before a man's fists had rewritten her story. Some nights, Taejun would find her at the kitchen table at 2 a.m., studying anatomy, taking practice tests, pushing herself. "You don't have to do this," he said once. "The money Kim sends is enough. You don't have to work." "I know," she said, not looking up from her textbook. "But I'm not doing it because I have to. I'm doing it because I want to. Because for 7 years, I was just Zara's mom, the American waitress, the woman trying to stay invisible. I want to be more than what I had to be to survive. You were always more. Maybe, but now I get to prove it." Zara thrived. Started at the local elementary school. Made friends with the ease that only children possess. Taught her classmates English phrases. Learned to make kimchi from the grandmother next door, Mrs. Song, who never asked about the strange new family on the cliff. Island people understood running from something. They just didn't talk about it. One Saturday, 2 months after their arrival, Zara came home with a school project. "We have to write about our families," she announced, "and draw a picture." Imani tensed. "What did you write?" Zara held up her paper. Careful Korean characters mixed with English words she didn't know how to translate. "My family is Mama, Mr. Taejun, and me. We live by the ocean. Mama is studying to be a nurse." Mr. Taejun catches fish. "I want to be a doctor. We came from Seoul, but we like Jindo better because here we can breathe." The drawing showed 3 stick figures on a beach, holding hands, sun overhead, ocean behind. At the bottom, in careful bilingual text, "Uri Gajog, our family." Taejun's vision blurred. He blinked rapidly, turning away. "It's beautiful, baby," Imani said, voice thick. "Your teacher will love it." "Can I hang it up? In the kitchen?" "Of course." Zara tacked it to the refrigerator with a magnet shaped like a starfish. Then she ran outside to play, already calling for her friend Minho, who lived down the path. When she was gone, Imani and Taejun stood in the kitchen, staring at the drawing. "She called you family," Imani said softly. "I know. That terrifies me. I know that too. Because if you leave, if you go back to being who you were, if you get killed or arrested, or just decide island life is too boring," her voice cracked, "it'll break her heart. And I don't know how to protect her from that." "You can't protect her from everything," Taejun said. "No matter how hard you try, the world will hurt her sometimes. That's part of being human. Doesn't mean I have to invite the hurt in. No, but you also can't keep her in a bubble." He looked at the drawing. 3 stick figures, a family that shouldn't exist, but did. Sometimes the biggest risk is also the biggest gift. Is that what this is? A gift? "I don't know what this is," Taejun admitted. "I just know it's the first thing in 20 years that feels real, that feels like it matters for reasons that have nothing to do with power or money or fear." Imani was quiet for a long moment. Outside, they could hear Zara's laughter mixing with the sound of ocean waves. Don't waste it, she said finally. Whatever this is, whatever we're becoming, don't waste it. I won't. Promise. I promise. 3 months became 6. The islanders slowly accepted them. The American woman who worked at the clinic, the tattooed man who hauled nets, the bright child who helped elderly Mrs. Song with her garden and asked a million questions about everything. They became part of Jindo's fabric, not invisible anymore, but woven in. Taijun's body healed. The bullet wounds became scars. The knife cuts faded to white lines. The constant pain he'd carried for years. In his shoulder, his ribs, his soul, gradually unwound. He taught Zara to fish. They were terrible at it, both of them, but they laughed more than they caught anything. Mr. Taejun, why do fish swim away when they see the hook? Because they're smart. They know danger when they see it. But the bait looks so good. Exactly. The most dangerous things often do. Zara considered this. Is that why you were dangerous? Because you looked good on the outside but had sharp hooks on the inside? The wisdom of children, cutting straight to truth. Yes, Taejun said. That's exactly why. But you're not like that anymore. How do you know? Because dangerous people don't laugh when they drop fish. And you just dropped 3. It was true. The fish flopped on the dock while Taejun tried to grab them. Slipped. Nearly fell in the water himself. Zara giggled so hard she got hiccups. Not dangerous. Just human. One evening, 6 months after their arrival, Taejun found Imani on the porch after Zara had gone to bed. Can't sleep? He asked. Thinking, she said. About? About how strange this is. How 6 months ago I was invisible in Seoul, terrified every day, barely surviving. And now I'm here. I have a job I'm good at, a daughter who's thriving. And you. What about me? Imani looked at him. I still don't know what to do with you. You're not what I expected. You haven't gotten bored. You haven't left. You haven't turned back into the steel dragon. You're just here, mending nets, making terrible jokes, teaching my daughter about tides. Is that a bad thing? It's a confusing thing because part of me keeps waiting for the other shoe to drop, for you to wake up one day and remember who you really are. What if this is who I really am? Taejun asked. What if the steel dragon was the costume in this? He gestured at himself. At the simple clothes, the calloused hands, the peaceful evening. Is what was underneath all along. Then you wasted 20 years. Yes, I did. They sat in silence. The ocean whispered its eternal secrets. Do you miss it? Imani asked. The power? Every day, Taejun said honestly. The power, the control, the certainty, the way people moved when I entered a room, the way a single phone call could make things happen. But I don't miss the fear, the constant looking over my shoulder, the knowledge that everyone around me wanted either my approval or my death. Never just me, whatever that is. Do you know who you is yet? Getting there. It's a process. Imani laughed softly. Did you get philosophical? When a 6-year-old explained morality to me using lunchbox politics. She's special. She is. And terrifying, because she sees the world as it could be, not as it is. And she makes you want to build that world for her. Is that what you're doing? Building a better world? I'm building a world. Whether it's better, Taejun shrugged. Ask me in 10 years. Deal. More months passed. Taejun's fishing improved. Imani passed her nursing boards on the first try. Started working full-time at the clinic. Zara won a school award for a story she wrote about a dragon who learned to be kind. They became what they'd been pretending to be. A family. Not a normal family. Never normal. But real. 1 year after arriving in Jindo on the anniversary of that night in the basement, they walked the Moses Path together at low tide. The sea had parted, revealing a sandbar between islands, just as Taejun had described. Starfish dotted the exposed ocean floor. Shells glinted in afternoon sun. Zara ran ahead, collecting treasures, examining everything with her toy stethoscope that she still carried everywhere. Do starfish have hearts? She called back. Yes, Taejun answered. 5 of them, actually. Really? No, but they do have 5 parts, all working together, kind of like a family. Zara thought about this. Are we like a starfish? Mama, you, and me? 3 parts working together? Maybe, though starfish have 5 parts. That's okay. We can collect more parts. Mrs. Song could be one, and Minho and Captain Kim will make a big starfish family. Imani and Taejun exchanged glances, smiled. A starfish family, Imani said. I like that. They walked the full path, there and back. Zara collected shells. Imani took photos. Taejun just breathed. Ocean air, freedom, peace. When they returned home, Zara asked if she could give Taejun something. Close your eyes, she instructed. He obeyed. Felt her press paper. Into his hands. Okay, open. It was a drawing, more sophisticated than the stick figures from months ago. Actual detail. Color, 3 people on a beach, a woman with natural hair and kind eyes, a girl with purple ribbons, a man with dragon tattoos that looked more like art than threat. Holding hands, sunsetting, ocean turned to gold behind them. The words at the bottom, in careful English and Korean, Uri Gajog, our family, the dragon who learned to protect instead of destroy. Can you hang it in your room? Zara asked. So you remember? Remember what? That you're not the steel dragon anymore. You're just Taejun, my Taejun, and that's better, so much better. Taejun's throat closed. He nodded, not trusting his voice. He hung it above his desk. It stayed there. Years later, when Zara graduated medical school, when she opened her clinic on Jindo, treating anyone who needed help regardless of their ability to pay, when she saved her first life, a fisherman who'd been in an accident, who everyone thought was too far gone. When she brought him back from the edge, she thought about that basement in Muledong, about the choice she made as a 6-year-old to help someone everyone said was beyond help, about the belief that people could change if someone gave them a reason. And she smiled because people weren't just one thing. They were choices. Every single day, they were choices. She'd chosen to believe in dragons, who could learn new ways to be. So had he. And in choosing, they'd saved each other. Not in some grand, dramatic way, but in the quiet, persistent way that actually matters. The way that lasts. Day by day, choice by choice, moment by moment. Until one day, you look up and realize you're not who you were. You're who you chose to become. And that makes all the difference. The ocean crashed against Jindo's shores, the sunset gold. A man who used to be a dragon watched his family, his impossible, beautiful, chosen family, and knew he'd finally found the treasure worth hoarding. Not gold, not power, not fear. Just this, just them, just love in its simplest, most complicated form. And it was enough. It was more than enough. It was everything. If this story moved you, if it made you think about second chances and the choices we make, do me one final favor. Hit that like button, drop a subscribe, and tell me in the comments. Do you believe people can really change? Or are we just who we've always been, wearing different masks? And if you know someone who needs to hear this story, share it with them. Sometimes the person who needs saving is closer than we think.